Hey there, welcome back to the lab, and let's have a look. We have this gentleman over here who's on a cigarette break, probably. And I would like to imagine that this is the subject that the person was trying to focus on. But for me, I would say a much more competing element that is there in the image are these lights. There's a lot of contrast, and they are the brightest points in the image, and that reduces the visual hierarchy. And this is the second element that my eye is drawn to. And the third is the overall, shapes that are there over here. So this is one block. This is a block. So these are the overall shapes that are present over here. And then talking about the leading lines that are present in the image, first would be, again, the roll, and then this extrusion that's there on the building over here. Those are a couple of leading lines. And then again, another one is moving downwards. The next are the visual distractions, in my opinion, which are, let me just clear this. These electrical wiring and these lightings and stuff. They add, I would say, nothing much to the image. They are just present in the image. So maybe we can think of reducing such elements, because if we are again talking about the subject that is present in the image, they do not tend to help the viewer focus more on the image or the subject in an appealing manner. So we need to be careful about that. And I'm not a big fan of the trash being strewn over here. Obviously, the photographer didn't have much control over that, but maybe we can help reduce with uh, a few cropping techniques so that we help the viewer, help guide the eye of the viewer directly to the subject itself. So keeping that in mind, let's try reducing the frame so that it helps convey the subject in a much faster and a better way. So first is getting rid of this. So probably maybe a crop like this would work. Something like this. Like, we need to be mindful of not cutting the elbow of the person. So one crop might be like this, where we just focus on these repeating elements and the person over here. And another crop I would suggest is, if we are trying to make the image a bit more abstract and focus mostly on the shapes that are help that are helping frame the subject. So we can probably go with something like this. Again, dropping it over here, here, and again, reducing all of this clutter. So maybe that might be another frame, because we have this element over here and just reducing the overall complexity in the image. And then if we want to give as much context as possible, we can still help clean up the image in a way that helps reduce most of the overall clutter. So yeah, those would be a few comments that I would have in helping to identify what the subject is, and then cropping it in a way so that it isolates the subject and makes it a much more impactful and powerful image. So yeah, that's it for today, and catch you again next time.